Okay, everyone. Today, for this video, I know I just recorded a couple of updates, but been thinking about doing this and not doing this and doing this, but I thought, I should do this. Now, a lot of us, when we create our Lightburn projects, uh, save them on our local computer, and then there's always the issue I've seen where people they update their computer or update software or do something, and all their projects seem to disappear. So how do you resolve that? Well, one of the ways that I was doing is I have two laptops. I have one that I take to markets with me, and this one that I'm using for recording. And when I market, I have my portable laser with me, and I want to open up a project that I've created on this one that I've saved on my network attached storage device, and I can't connect to it. And it drives me crazy. It's happened to me a couple times. So this method I'm going to show you today works for me to resolve that issue that I had, and as well as managing backups that are secure and accessible as long as you have an internet connection. And I haven't fully tested this, taking my other laptop with me to the market um, with all the stuff that I'm going to show you today. But one thing that I've told myself is these are the steps I need to do before I go. So you're going to need a couple of tools. So, and do a couple little things. So what I'm going to show you is how to use GitHub as a backup. Now, there's a couple of tools that you need. One is you need to create a GitHub account, and they're free and they're relatively easy. I have one. I've had one for many years while I was instructor at a technical college, and I still have it, and it's kind of cool. The other thing is you're going to need an application called GitHub Desktop, and it's got, I have it both on this, my Windows PC, and my other one, which is a MacBook Pro. So it works on either one. And I'm pretty sure there's a Linux version out there as well. I don't have Linux, so I can't test it. So let's just start. I'm going to go into my computer, and there's my GitHub account. And this is the project that I created. This is all my engraving projects backup. And how I did it is kind of interesting, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently. So I also have GitHub Desktop, which is how I can fetch and make some changes. Okay, so first thing I want to do, just going to shrink this down, is I need to, once you create your GitHub account, which is github.com, I'm in my dashboard, not all my information. I just create a new, and I'm going to create this LB backup. It's available, description, backup, projects, visibility. Now, if you are concerned about people absconding with your projects, you probably don't want to make it public. I'm going to make mine private. Now, there are some restrictions to how many private repositories you can have with a GitHub free account, but that's okay. A README is basically a file that tells you all about this project. So I'm going to create one. The .gitignore, you don't really need it because there's not a lot of options here. There's no Lightburn, any kind of thing. So you can just leave it. A license, once again, there's different licenses you can select from. I'm just going to leave it no license because this is just my backup. Okay. And I'm going to create my repository. There it is. It's all created. Now, there's a lot of different things. And if you're doing this, I strongly encourage you to look up how to do branches and merges and all those kinds of things. But for a simple backup, this is a really simple technique. So that's created. Now, how do I get all my projects up here? Well, I can add my files, but right now all my backups, too many files to upload at once. So that's where GitHub Desktop really comes into play. Okay, so what I need now is I need a folder. This is my other monitor here, sorry. Let's get here. Bring my window here. So I have a bunch of folders for repositories. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to keep it with the same name, lb_backup. Okay, I'm not worried about that right now. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that this repository is going to work. So the way to get this onto my machine into that folder, I'm going to select the code and I'm going to open it up with GitHub Desktop. Now, once again, you need GitHub Desktop. Once again, it's free. There's a whole bunch of other ways of doing it, but this is the easiest way. I taught GitHub for my students, and there's a lot more powerful tools you can do by command line or terminal. It's going to open up with GitHub Desktop. It's going to give me this little pop-up. I don't care. I just go open. Now, I got to tell it where it goes. Now, I already created that folder, okay, the LB backup. So I'm just going to choose. So cancel. You can choose your own. Because it's this one, I'm just going to clone it into there. And GitHub does its thing. Okay. And select Shell and Explorer. Now, most Windows users, you won't see this hidden file. So I'm just going to go Show and turn this off. You'll just see this README, which really is, there's nothing in there right now. Okay, that's the first part. Next part. Oops, here. Make sure I got everything here. It's going to minimize some windows here so I can see this. Oh, I don't need that. Okay, so there's my folder that I created. And this is the one that's GitHub, right? So what I'm going to do is go back to my projects folder. And if I want to put my Lightburn projects in there, just my Lightburn projects. So if I select everything, Control A, Control C, go over to my LB backup folder, and I paste them all in. Here, where's ensures away. Okay, so put them all in there. Now, because this is a local repository, GitHub Desktop says, wait a minute, you have some changes, right? It backs changes. Now, the thing with GitHub, it's not only backup files, but it keeps a history of every file that you've created and the history. So you can go back in versions. If you mess up a file, go, oh, wait a minute, I want the old one. That's not the one I want. Because it's sitting up in GitHub, you can retrieve or go back to an older version. So to get these files up on my repository, put a comment in here. The description is optional, right? You can put whatever you want on here. And see, there's 979 files, and GitHub doesn't like on here, if I go add files, it limits to 100. So I'd have to do this 10 times to get all those files up there. Okay, and that's not the best way to do it. This is the fastest way. Let GitHub push it up there. So, and then once you do that, you create a commit. Now, it takes a little bit of time, so I have lots of files here. I'll pause and take a little bit of drink. Well, it's just we're churning away. It takes a while. Because it has to go through and tag all those 979 files and the folders that they're in and tag them to be added to your repository. I should have actually only selected one of my folders, but that's okay. I could have made this a lot easier. Okay, so once it's all done, you have this push to origin, and you can push it up here, push to origin. And there's only this little number beside the arrow. That means there's only one commit. If you're working on multiple projects in Lightburn and you save them, you can commit each one and leave them for if I were to create the 3 projects, commit each one, and then there'd be 3 up here, and I just go push to origin, and where it goes. That's how fast this is. So we'll watch the counter go. Now this works really good if you have a high-speed internet connection. If your internet connection is slower, you would probably want to do this in segments. Okay. Now, also in GitHub Desktop, there's a history. So if you want to see what's been up there, right? So my README, my initial push, and there's all the files are added. So these little symbols, green plus, there's a red minus, the file is deleted. Now I want to make sure my files are backed up. I just have to refresh my browser, and they're all there. Okay, they're backed up, it's secure. Now, I know that's there, so let's just do a quick little test. Let's go into Lightburn, and let's open a project. I actually want to open something here because I want to play with something a little bit here. It's Christmas time here. Let's open my Bow Snowflake. Okay, now this is a really cool design, and this isn't really part of the video, but what if this center part, I have to ungroup everything. Let's just ungroup all. Let's pick this one and ungroup it. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with kerf. So kerf offset. So think about cutting a piece of wood and you cut it and you create some sawdust. Well, when you cut with Lightburn, it does the same thing. And you can go kerf outside, which will make this snowflake go out or inside. So inside is, if I just do minus 1.5, okay. But I don't want to do it on this one. So let's back up here. Make sure I don't have that on here. Okay. I would change my snowflake to a different layer. Let's say my 13 layer. And I'll set the kerf on it inside. So what I could do is I can then cut out a bunch of snowflakes, insert them in here, and have that work out well. Okay, so I've saved this. So let's save this file. Okay, now, if I was going to go to a market, use my other computer, I got to make sure all my files are backed up. So if I go to GitHub Desktop, go to Changes. I opened the wrong file here. So I'll go, got to open it from that LB backup one here. That's better. That's not the one. What was I working on here? Bow snowflake. Bow snowflake. There. Ungroup. Ungroup. Change that to 13. And turn it on. Set its kerf. Okay. And save it. Go into GitHub. And it knows it's changed. And is a default comment. And because I'm only changing or creating one file, I can commit that to main. Okay, it's sitting here. Let's open another file. Let's open let's open my bell ornament. And turn my, I just got to do some playing around here. Just make some quick changes. This is not my my master file, so oops. And back to Bill. So my one star stands out a little bit more. And I save that. Go back to GitHub Desktop and update that one. And now you see the 2 up there. So I back 2 up projects. Okay. Push those up. And refresh. And you can see that I go into my Christmas folder. My updates are there. Now there's a lot more to GitHub, and once again, if you want to do some development, you don't want to actually publish them, you can actually create a new branch and then work on that and push changes up to the main one. It's up to you how you do this. Okay. So, in a lot of stuff here that may be a little more complicated or complex for most of you, I would encourage you to, you want to use this, practice. And if you have any questions about using GitHub GitHub desktop. Yeah, to get GitHub desktop. Let's go back to my computer here. Okay. Git desktop. You can download. You can check your, depending on what computer you're on. There's a Mac version, Windows 64-bit version, and you just download it. Download the version that you want. And it's pretty straightforward. Okay, I think I'm done with this one. A little more technical than, that's why I hesitated doing it. It's a little technical, a little computer geeky, but it's a very useful tool. And now I can sync back and forth using GitHub instead of using my NAS. So, and it's starting to get overloaded with all my files and stuff. So, take care, everyone. Didn't want to, but I did it. Okay, take care. Talk to you soon.